Hey mamas, if you are anything like me, then you might fall into the trap of your phone every so often, maybe even every day. And for me, there's different times where my phone poses an issue for me to be using my time intentionally and focusing. And I decided that it would be fun to create a 3-part series for you on this podcast over the next couple of days, where we talk about 3 really great tips to reduce your screen time and therefore increase your knitting time. So let's get into the first one today. Hey there, Mama. Welcome to the Knitting Mamas podcast. If you're a mom who's tired of feeling exhausted and longing for some well-deserved self-care and rest, you are in the right place. I know that finding time for yourself as a busy mom can feel like an impossible puzzle. But guess what? You don't have to compromise anymore. Hi, I'm your host, Nadine Medina, and just like you, I am a mom, wife, and also a happy knitter. Over my 15 years of motherhood, I have been on a journey to discover how to truly recharge without the guilt and the never-ending quest for perfection. The secret? It's all about progress, not perfection. By focusing on simple routines, natural wellness solutions, and the cozy art of knitting, I found the path to feeling whole and content. And on this podcast, I am sharing it all with you so you can do the same. Are you ready to find simple solutions to set yourself free from mom guilt, to take more time for yourself to truly rest, and to use your knitting skills for a mindful routine that creates space in your life so you can breathe easier? Let's take a deep breath, grab those knitting needles, and say goodbye to mom stress. Together, we'll create a supportive community that encourages you to prioritize self-care while juggling all your responsibilities. Sound good? Let's do this. Hey there, lovely mamas. Are you feeling like your days just evaporate and you're left wondering, where the heck did my time go today? Do you find yourself reaching for your phone first thing in the morning only to get sucked into a vortex of endless scrolling and email messaging? Are you caught in a cycle of reacting to the day's demands rather than proactively tackling your own to-do list? Or maybe, just maybe, you felt the sting of the comparison trap on social media, leaving you feeling less than instead of uplifted. If any of this sounds all too familiar, I've got the perfect antidote for you. Join us for the Phone Down, Needles Up 5-day challenge from February 26th to March 1st. It's more than just a challenge. It's a promise to yourself to reclaim your joy, time, and focus. Why do you need to be part of this, you may wonder? If you need to regain control and take back your time and discover where it's truly going, this is going to be for you. Morning mindfulness. Replace the morning scroll with a serene start, setting a positive tone for your day. Does that sound like something you want to do? Maybe proactive power. Shift from reactive to proactive, making your priorities front and center. Or comparison to compassion. Move away from the comparison trap and embrace self-care and creativity instead. Let's break free from the digital clutter and mindless habits together. Let's transform our routines and rekindle our passion for creativity and self-care. I can't wait to have you in the challenge. And to sign up for the challenge, go to theknittingmamas.com/challenge. Okay, so with the 5-day Phone Down, Needles Up challenge right around the corner, I thought it would be fun to do this 3-part series starting today. Today's Friday, what is today? The 23rd of February. And the next 2 parts of the series will be aired on Monday and on Tuesday. But with the Phone Down Challenge, I thought it would be fun to talk about our screen time use as mamas, because again, if you're anything like me, that may sometimes be a little bit of a trap. So let's talk about it. I have identified 3 things that are really helpful when you notice that your phone is being used a little bit more than you want it to be. And oftentimes, it's not really all our fault either. So it's easy to say, oh, just put the phone down. But there's really more to it. And I have learned from one of my coaches in my business that there is a thing called a dopamine hit. And that's what happens when you use your phone in those ways that you almost can't really explain, where you're like, Well, yeah, I just grabbed this thing randomly again, even though I was in the middle of something completely different. And what it really is when you get a text message and you hear that ding from your phone, you're like, oh, I wonder who that is. And it's just this thing in your brain. Your brain just wants to know, who was it? The same goes for social media. When you post a picture and you get likes or comments on it, and you just want to keep checking who commented on your picture, what did they say? And every time you do, your brain gets a bit of dopamine, which it then starts to crave. So it's almost a little bit of an addiction, which is hard to break sometimes. So let me walk you through the first step that I think is very helpful and super important to not only start the process of putting boundaries on your screen time, but also to become really aware of where your time is going on your phone. Because oftentimes we're like, oh no, that's not true for me. Like, I'm not on my phone that much. But when you really dig and look and use the data, honestly, you're like, oh darn, like maybe I am on my phone more often than I think. And it's funny because there's a couple of things that are measured in our phone settings and in our screen time settings on our phones that I never even thought about. So how many times I pick up my phone per day is something that is tracked in there. And when I first saw that number, I like fell over. It's crazy. I was like, no, I don't pick up my phone that often. Well, apparently I do. So let's narrow our focus in on how we can reduce our phone time, and really with the because here's the thing, I keep hearing from so many moms that I talk to throughout the week on either my Instagram or in emails in our Facebook community, that they just simply don't find enough time to do something that they enjoy. And in our case, that would be hopefully knitting or whatever else you do to recharge and to self-care. And I find that such a shame, because as moms, we do so many things for other people, and not taking time for ourselves is really a complete disservice, not just to ourselves and to us, but to the people that we actually serve. So we need to make sure that we have time to recharge our batteries before we pour into other people. And I do feel like our phones and that time that it sucks out of our day, unless you're extremely good about it and you already have amazing boundaries around your phone in place, which again, I'm still a work in progress on that, you might just waste time on your phone that you could otherwise use to recharge your batteries. And some of us also might think, well, but scrolling on social media is like self-care for me. And there may be some truth to that, especially if you live far away from family or friends and you use social media to connect and to stay in touch and look at pictures and things like that. I honestly think that's a great way to spend your time. And that is a form of self-care, in my opinion. And for someone like me who is from a different country, living in this country, I totally get it. Like I'm so grateful for social media and for technology to be able to connect me to the friends and family that I left. So that is definitely a part that I consider self-care. But the flip side of being on social media often, and sometimes mindlessly, is that you fall into a comparison trap. And that one to me is a lot more risky and sometimes even detrimental to our health and our well-being, because no one out there is showing all the good and the bad and the ugly and, everything in between of their lives, because I don't want to do that. I'm not showing every part of my life on social media. Number one, I don't have time to do that. Number two, I really just don't want to do that. So not saying that anybody has to do that, but with that said, what we're doing is we're comparing our normal, right, everyday life to people out there who are just showing us their highlight reel, which is essentially what we're doing too. You generally only show and share things that you enjoyed or that you're proud of or that you're happy about on your social media, with the few exceptions in there too, of course. But the bottom line is comparison can happen really quickly because it's an unfair comparison that we're doing, but our brain doesn't care about that. It just tells us, hey, you're not good enough. You're not doing enough. Oh, look at that person. They're doing this and this and that. But you don't know when they started. You don't know how much help they had. You don't know how much money they make. You don't know what they do during their day. So it's really hard to compare what we go through every day to something that we see on social media. And, we do fall into that, and yet we still pick up that phone all the time and wonder where our time is going. Okay. So that was a very long intro to the thing that I would love to challenge you to do today. Either in preparation for the 5-day phone down challenge. If you want to jump in with us on Monday, you can still sign up today, throughout the weekend, anytime you want. But I would encourage you to get it done quickly, because we are also starting a little knitting project on Monday morning, and you want to make sure that you have your materials for it. So be sure to sign up today and get yourself in the group, and everything, all the information is in there. I'm so excited for you to be in there. But my first challenge to you today, whether or not you're going to be in the challenge, is to identify your triggers and the times of day that you grab your phone most. So do you catch yourself grabbing it while you're standing in line at Target, while your kid is trying to tell you something? Which, that's one of those things where I'm like, dang, I do that sometimes. I'm like, no, this is not the moment to grab my phone. When you are supposed to do other things, like fold laundry or do the dishes or clean the kitchen. I find myself doing that sometimes when I'm like, okay, let me clean this kitchen. It takes like 15 minutes. And then 5 minutes in, I'm like, oh, I don't like this. And I grab my phone, just because that's much easier and more fun in that moment, right? So really all I'm asking you to do right now or today is to truly become aware and identify what your phone usage and your screen time is looking like. And if you find yourself in this place where you're like, yep, I have been there, I am doing that sometimes, maybe not all the time, or yes, I often can relate to this, this is it. This is your time to take control back and take some steps towards having more time for yourself, using your phone more intentionally, and stop being addicted to the screen. So one great way to do this is to go into your settings of your phone. I have an iPhone, so I'm going to really quickly actually do this in real time so you know where to find this. So you click on settings, and then you scroll down, and you're going to go onto screen time. And under screen time, you actually see your phone and your other devices, if you have any other devices connected to it. And you can then see your daily average. And when you click on see all app and website activity, you have a breakdown of which apps you use most, which apps you actually are on the most, which ones you pick up first, or actually which ones you open first after you pick up your phone. So that is a great way to really see your average usage. And I would bet that you're going to be surprised by those stats if you haven't looked at them before. So brace yourself. It's going to be interesting. And maybe take a screenshot of it, because if you are going into our challenge, or if you're just going to do this challenge on your own, you might want to have it as a comparison for, a week from now or 2 weeks from now, when you really are more intentional about your phone usage, and see what happens. What has changed? How are these numbers looking now? And I would also encourage you to maybe write some stuff down, journal about it, and see how much time you're actually freeing up by doing this. So this is just the first step. We're going to have 2 more steps in this series. The second one is coming to you on Monday, and the third one on Tuesday. And I'm just excited to walk you through all of this. Again, if you want to be part of the challenge, all of this is going to happen in there too, and we're going to have some extra bonus tips in the challenge that you can only access when you come in there. And of course, be part of our little knitting project that we're going to do all week long. So I hope this is helpful to you. Please let me know if you are dealing with this, if you can relate to any of these issues as a busy mama, and then having these phones and feeling like we're basically slaves to them. Let me know on my Instagram. You can send me a DM, or you can just share this episode and tag me in there. I would love to see it. If you are listening, and if you're in the challenge, or if you're part of the challenge, at the Knitting Mamas. And to get into the challenge, you have to go to the link bit.ly/phone down. Let me double check if that's actually the correct link. It is, let's see. Of course, I can't find it right now. Oh, there it is. Yes, it's bit.ly/phone down. And you can still sign up all the way through Monday, but do it soon so that you can be part of our little knitting challenge within that challenge as well. And I will talk to you next week. Have a wonderful weekend. Hey mama, I hope you've soaked up some great ideas from today's episode. Remember, a happy mom makes for a happy fam. If today's chat hit home with you, it would mean the world if you could leave a 5-star written review on iTunes. Your review will help other moms discover our community and embrace guilt-free self-care. Also, if you're scrolling through Instagram, why not snap a screenshot of this episode for your stories? Don't forget to tag me at The Knitting Mamas so that I can shout you out on my page as well. Plus, that way we can stay connected and spread the self-care magic. Oh, and have you heard about our cozy Facebook community? It's a guilt-free zone where we share relaxing routines, essential oils, and knitting adventures, and so much more. Come join us today at bit.ly/knittingmamas and let's unwind together. Until we chat again, take care, mama. And remember, looking after yourself is not selfish. It's essential for that balanced life. Catch you soon right here on the Knitting Mamas podcast.